Hello everyone, it's Andrea and welcome to the March Plan with me. All supplies I use will be listed in the description box below. I know that March usually makes it pretty easy to have a St. Patrick's Day theme or a green colored theme, but I decided to do something different. As some of you already know, I really love unicorns and I wanted to incorporate them for this month. I began by sketching out the basic outlines of my title and my unicorn. Does anybody else have a favorite theme or character they like to use in their bullet journal? Do you find you use a theme more than once? Or do you keep your bullet journal very plain with a minimal amount of art? Then I colored in the shadowy areas with the light gray. I also colored in the year and gave the title a gray drop shadow. I didn't want to pick just one of the rainbow colors as my theme color, so I picked the lightest pink I had and colored in March. Then I colored in his mane in the rainbow color order. The colors I used are red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, and purple. Sometimes I find it quite relaxing to draw fine, intricate details. When I was younger, I used to draw lots of pictures where everyone's hair was super long and super flowy, kinda like they were always in a windstorm. I'm thinking of painting again. I miss it and want to find ways to incorporate it into my journal, but I don't know if these particular pages would hold up. I'm really digging the traditional monthly calendar layout and decided to repeat it. I handwrote March at the top but left the spaces empty for coloring. Then I added my to-do list inside of a banner. I drew all the lines for all the boxes for each day of the month. Each box is 6 squares by 6 squares. I drew the little unicorn in the bottom corner and colored in the mane with the rainbow colors. Then I handwrote Monday through Sunday at the top of each box with all the rainbow colors. I outlined the cloud at the bottom and filled in March with the light pink. Continuing with my rainbow colors, I added them to my banner. To make the days of the week and clouds stand out, I gave them all a tiny drop shadow with my fine liner. Then I filled in the numbers for the days of the week and highlighted them all with pink. For my March trackers, I began with the colors first and drew lines to create the rainbow title. I've been creating new fonts and really like giving myself this limited space to work with to make the letters. Each letter fits a 3 by 3 square. I'm thinking of making a video that shows a few of the fonts I have created. Let me know in the comments below if you would be interested and which style is your favorite. Then I outlined the letters and wrote trackers on the side. I wrote all the days of the week down the left side and the letter for each day on the right side. Then I filled in all my habits at the top. I actually found out last month that I have been spelling vitamins wrong my whole life. Now it just looks wrong spelt the right way. Last but not least, I separated each week with a line and colored in Saturdays and Sundays with pink. I really enjoyed drawing the weather icons and decided to repeat it again. I drew the lines and almost came out of this unscathed for mistakes. Almost. But it was an easy fix. I created all the boxes, which are 3 squares by 3 squares, and wrote the day of each in the bottom right-hand corner in a boxy style font. This one is actually a smaller version of a font I use later on. This one has the appearance of looking like the numbers off of a digital clock. I also colored in the Saturdays and Sundays in pink. I wrote mood at the top in pink in another one of my created fonts. This one is wider, being 5 squares instead of 3. I'm calling this one my short fat font. That just sounds funny. Then I wrote tracker underneath and gave the title a pretty thick drop shadow. I like that you don't always have to stick to the same drop shadow style. Not only can you add the shadow to any side, you can also make it as thick or as thin as you like. You can also use different colors. I outlined all of my moods because I wanted them to be white on a colored background. I tested out my white Jelly Roll pen and it just seemed to pick up the pigment of all the colors underneath. I don't know if there is a different white pen out there that wouldn't do this, but I know the Jelly Roll is not it. Not with these markers, at least. It was actually this page that inspired all the other pages. Yes, I wanted to do a unicorn theme, but I had this vision of using the unicorn's mane to be the mood tracker. I wanted the sections of hair to be the days of the month. This is definitely going to be the most colorful mood tracker I've created so far. Once again, drawing these long flowing locks of hair brings me back to when I drew a lot in high school. For some of you, that might be right now. For me, it was a lifetime ago. I wrote each day in each section of hair. Then I outlined the shadowy areas with the gray again. The different moods were actually hard to distinguish in February because they were all a very similar shade of pink, so I'm glad to be using the 7 rainbow colors for this month. I carefully colored around each mood with all the colors, joining them together in the middle to make a continuous rainbow line. Then I colored the first 2 strands in pink. Next is my Polaroid memories. I went with a light blue for the larger letters, then hand wrote Polaroid on top. For my brain dump page, I started by coloring in my makeshift rainbow border. I didn't have it go completely around the page, just 3 corners. I think I know why they create adult coloring books. Coloring is actually pretty fun. I colored in my title with the pink and outlined everything else with my fine liner. My camera stopped recording and I missed the outlining of the cute little unicorn on top. Next is my exercise tracker, and I'm really loving getting to incorporate my newly created fonts. I think I might call this one the Boxy Clock font. I kept this the same as last month, but added pink lines across for easier reference. The dots were great to separate the workouts for multiple days, but I decided to add a gray stripe instead this time. To be completely honest, they took way too long to draw and left my hand pretty sore. This is the start of the weekly spread, and I am using my Boxy font again. This font fits within a 2 square by 2 square space. I put my sleep tracker down the side and made boxes to fill in the hours. I used this one before and really liked it. Sometimes I have to mix and match different layout style elements to fit everything I want on one page. I drew unicorns for the bottom corner of each day of the week. For my water tracker, I drew a cloud and an empty rainbow. Each color of the rainbow will equal 1 cup of water. If I drink all my water for the day, the rainbow will be full and the cloud will be gray for the 8th cup. I wrote the numbers of the days of the week in the matching boxy style font, added some bullet dots, and wrote the days of the week beside each unicorn. Using the pink, I colored in the stripe for the sleep tracker and highlighted parts of my meal tracker. Then I outlined each day of the week, ending on those bullet dots I made earlier. You don't always have to make a straightforward outline. Sometimes I've used just the markers. Other times I've used dots. Be creative. I outlined my meal tracker and wrote the days of the week along the bottom. I separated each day to have 3 squares, and then I wrote meals in the boxes above. Lastly, I gave each day of the week a drop shadow of one of the colors from the rainbow and colored in the manes of the unicorns as well. So far, this month has been the most fun to set up. I really hope you've enjoyed this theme, and if you try any of the spreads I have created, please tag me on Instagram at Amazing-Andrea1. That's with underscores. I would love to see your recreations. If you don't want to miss next month's setup, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next time.